6 words. That's all it took to destroy a $990 million deal. But before I tell you what I said, I need you to understand what they did first. My name is Rowena. I'm 34 years old. And 3 weeks ago, I watched my own family laugh at me like I was nobody, at a party celebrating my work. Stay until the end, because what happens next? Nobody saw coming. Not even me.it was my sister Valora's contract celebration. Champagne towers. Camera flashes. The whole production. And right in the middle of the toast, her husband Hayden looked dead at me and said, "Could you be a dear and help with the hors d'oeuvres? They're short-staffed." The room exploded with laughter. My sister smirked. My parents silent. Like they agreed I belonged in the kitchen. Here's what they didn't know. They're a nobody if they just mocked. I built that company from a dusty garage. I wrote every line of code. I filed every patent. And that billion-dollar contract they were celebrating? I held the signing rights. So I pulled out my phone, locked eyes with Hayden, and said 6 words that shattered their entire world. Cancel the contract. Effective immediately. The music stopped. Glasses froze mid-air. My sister's face went white as the cameras swung toward me. Suddenly, the invisible woman wasn't so invisible anymore. But here's the truth, and I need you to really hear this. That insult? It wasn't even the deepest cut. The deepest cut was every birthday they forgot. Every holiday where they clapped for her and looked straight through me. Every time I was erased by the people who were supposed to protect me. Have you ever felt invisible to your own family? Drop a black heart in the comments if you know that pain. Because this story isn't about money. It's about blood, betrayal, and the moment silence becomes the loudest revenge. The laughter didn't sting as much as what came after. Not the crowd, they were buzzing like champagne bees. It was my parents. My mother dropped her eyes to the floor. My father stared at the ceiling like it held answers. Neither said a single word in my defense. I walked past them slowly. The sound of my heels on that polished floor was louder than their loyalty ever was. But that wasn't the first time they left me to swallow humiliation. Let me take you back. Because this didn't happen overnight. This was years of little moments stacking up like bricks on my chest. When Valora wanted the spotlight, Mom would say, "I'll let her have this one, Ro. She needs encouragement more than you." When I asked about splitting credit, my sister laughed. Babe, you hate public speaking. You don't need the spotlight. Trust me." And I did. God help me, I trusted her all the way to my own erasure. Back then, I thought family meant sacrifice. So while Valora breezed in from after-parties with heels dangling from her fingers, I worked nights in a garage with an overheating laptop, scribbling formulas on a whiteboard until my eyes burned. I paid for servers, patent filings, even groceries when the account ran dry. For an entire year, I sent $10,500 every single month to cover unexpected expenses. When I asked where the money went, Valora shrugged. A PR isn't cheap. You'll thank me when we land Forbes. By the end, $180,000 of my personal savings, gone. 12 years. Hundreds of sleepless nights. And every time the company got press, her face on the cover. Her quotes. Her curated sound bites. I was the ghost in every headline. Quick question. Have you ever given everything to someone who took you for granted? Type a "been there" in the comments if this hits home. Because what happened next absolutely shattered me. 3 years ago. Quarterly strategy meeting. I walked into the lobby with my pitch deck ready, global expansion plans I'd been building for months. I swiped my key card. Red light. Probably a glitch, I joked to the security guard. He didn't laugh. "I'm sorry, Ms. Stratton. You're no longer on the access list." I stared at him like he was speaking another language. I called upstairs. No answer. I texted Valora. Hey, my keycard's not working." 3 dots appeared, then vanished. 10 minutes later, an email landed in my inbox. Advisory privileges suspended pending internal restructuring. Thank you for your contributions. I stood there frozen, clutching my laptop like a lifeline, listening to muffled laughter and clinking glasses from the boardroom above. My team, the one I built, was in there. Without me. And that's when I realized something brutal. I hadn't just lost my seat at the table. I never had 1 dot. I didn't quit that day. I should have. But I didn't. Because somewhere deep down, I still believed if I kept building, kept solving the impossible, they'd finally see me. So while Valora did magazine shoots and a day in the life of logs, I took 2 a.m. conference calls with suppliers in Shenzhen. While Hayden whisked her to Dubai for brand deals, I negotiated compliance audits for 3 different regions, alone. There were months I lived on instant noodles and black coffee because every spare dollar went to a family needs. New branding? I covered it. Legal fees for the merger? I wired $18,000 in one transfer. Mom said, just help your sister get through this round, Ro. You'll both win later. Later never came. Every time I raised the question, my equity, my title, Valora had the same script. Babe, relax. I'm the face. You're the brain. It's yin and yang. This works because you don't crave the spotlight. Honestly, you'd hate the pressure. Meanwhile, I was carrying the whole mountain while she played goddess on Instagram. One night, I pushed hard. Valora, this isn't balance. It's theft. She smiled without blinking. A row, please. Without me, you'd still be soldering wires in a garage. You needed me. Don't forget that. Her voice was sugar. Her words were poison. And I swallowed them again. What would you have done? Tell me in the comments. The price wasn't just money. It was birthdays spent debugging instead of celebrating. It was a fiancé who left because, in his words, you're married to that company, and it doesn't even have your name on it. When his engagement ring hit the bottom of the trash bin, I barely flinched. I was too tired to bleed. Then came the investor dinner in Palo Alto. Valora dazzled in crimson silk while whispers swirled around the table. A man leaned toward me, voice casual. So, how long have you been Hayden's assistant? The laughter that followed wasn't cruel. It was worse. It was dismissive. The kind people use when they think you're irrelevant. Valora didn't correct him. She giggled, as she keeps us organized. Couldn't survive without her. My cheeks burned so hot I thought the wine glass might crack in my hand. That night in my hotel room, I opened the company website. Her bio read like a royal decree: visionary, founder, disruptor. Mine? It didn't exist. The team page listed interns, PR representatives, even the office dog. But not me. I stared at the blank space where my name should have been and whispered to the dark. What am I still doing here? But the next morning, I got up, packed my bag, went right back to work. Because I thought, if I leave now, everything I built becomes hers forever. So I stayed through the migraines, the panic attacks I hid behind locked bathroom doors, every boardroom where I took notes instead of credit, every whisper that I was a too rigid E or a too emotional E to lead. I swallowed it all because silence felt safer than war. Until the day it didn't. It started with a phone call. Rowena. It's Dale from Capital Summit West. His voice was tight. Careful. So, you really called Valor a snake in writing? My throat closed. What? In that email to your friend? Look, investors read this stuff. It's circling. I opened my inbox. And there it was. Screenshots. Fragments of texts I typed in anger, months ago. Twisted. No context. Valor doesn't think long-term. She just wants applause. Beneath it, a LinkedIn post, a sibling rivalry turns ugly at veil rate. Yerks. Within a week, 2 consulting offers vanished. One firm stopped returning calls. $220,000 in potential contracts, gone overnight. But then came the discovery that destroyed me. It was past midnight. I logged into the patent database just to confirm what was still mine. Patent #9428X70. Filed January 9, 2017. Inventor, Valor Hale. Cosigner, Charles Hale, my father. Where was my name? I scrolled again. Heart pounding. Checked amendments. Checked legal portals. Nothing. 3 months before my 30th birthday, my sister had quietly reassigned MY work using an old power of attorney form, the one I'd signed years ago before surgery when Dad said it was a just in case. He co-signed it. They didn't just take credit. They took authorship. My tech. My blueprint. My entire life, gone in black ink. That contract was worth $990 million. And with one signature, I became a ghost in a billion-dollar story. I closed my laptop gently. Like if I moved too fast, I'd shatter the last piece of myself. Then I walked to the kitchen. Poured a glass of water. Sat in the dark. No screaming. No plates thrown. Just silence so thick it felt alive. Hours passed. Rain tapped the windows like a slow, cruel metronome. My phone buzzed. Email from Dad. Subject, forwarded, note. One line that hollowed me out. Valora, you were right. Rowena never could see the bigger picture. Too emotional. Too rigid. Good thing we never handed her the foundation. Signed, Dad. I read it twice. 3 times. Too emotional. Too rigid. That's what they called me for wanting my name on what I built. For wanting respect. I dropped the phone. Sat on the floor. Surrounded by years of files, tax returns, pitch decks, and one small napkin from the night we scribbled a co-founders, 2011. My chest caved. Breath sharp. For a moment I thought, maybe they were right. Maybe I was never enough. But then another voice broke through. Quiet. Steady. My own. No. They didn't erase you. They rewrote you. And you're going to take the pen back. The rain hadn't stopped. But neither had I. By dawn, my kitchen table was a war zone. Manila folders. USB drives. Old hard disks. 7 years of buried work. Screenshots of code commits. Whiteboard photos with my handwriting. Email threads where Valora called me our secret weapon. Receipts of everything she said didn't matter. At 6:30 a.m., I found the old email chain. Her, don't worry, you'll be credited internally. External visibility doesn't matter for us. Me, it matters to me. She never answered. I dialed Ezra's number. My first engineer, the kid who helped me solder wires in a garage before Valora knew the difference between RAM and ROM. Now he worked for Stratwin, the firm about to pump $200 million into Valora's empire. Rowena? I need you. A pause. Then, if this is about what I think it is. I'm in. 2 weeks of building. Organizing. Preparing. Code histories. Time-stamped commits. Even a voice memo of me explaining neural load calibration, from 2016. Truth in binary and ink. Then came the private session with Stratwin's Risk Council. Ezra's voice was calm. This is Rowena Stratton, original architect of the Veil Rate neural framework. A lawyer frowned. We were told she relinquished rights. I leaned forward. Show me the signed release. They couldn't. Ezra shared his screen. File after file. My code. My emails. My patent drafts with metadata older than Valora's first press feature. The silence on their end thickened like wet cement. Finally, a man in a grey suit spoke. If she didn't sign the NDA and retains authorship, your $200 million exposure just turned radioactive. One word from their end. It pours. The deal froze. Just like that. Every dollar Valora was counting on, gone. For the first time in years, the power wasn't in their boardroom. It was in my hands. I didn't gloat. Didn't shout. Power like this doesn't need fireworks. It needs silence that echoes louder than applause. Somewhere, Valora was refreshing her inbox, smiling like the world still worshipped her name. Clueless that the floor beneath her had just vanished. My phone buzzed. Her name flashing. I let it ring. Then die. 5 minutes later. You always do this. Hope it was worth it. I typed back slowly. No. I just stopped pretending. Hit send. Stared out the window. And whispered, I'm done whispering. 2 days later, headlines everywhere. Funding frozen amid IP dispute. The disappeared co-founder speaks. Stratwin issued a statement, a pending verification of ownership, all disbursements on hold. Translation: she was bleeding out. Then came the call. Ms. Stratton? Gregory Marsh, counsel for Ms. Valora Hale. She'd like to arrange a private settlement discussion. I let the silence stretch. When? As soon as possible. 2 weeks later, they walked into MY office. Valora. Our parents. Her lawyer. No cameras. No champagne. Just water on the table and sunlight slicing through the blinds like a truth they couldn't outrun. Her lawyer started. We're prepared to offer $6.5 million in public acknowledgement as co-founder in exchange for I raised my hand. Stop. Here's what I want. 1. A full public apology. In your voice. On camera. 2. You withdraw from all Stratwin negotiations. Effective immediately. 3. I retain full rights to my code, my name, my work. Valor's jaw tightened. You can't. I already did. Silence. Sharp as glass. My father spoke, voice brittle. A row, please. We'll lose everything. I looked at him. You didn't lose it. You gave it away. Big difference. My mother's eyes glistened. But no tears fell. Maybe they'd run out years ago. They signed every page. Not because they wanted to. Because they had no choice when they left. I opened my desk drawer. Inside, 2 nameplates. The old one, scratched and forgotten. The new one, polished and bold. I set them side by side. Whispered. That's the difference between being erased and being reborn. If you've ever been silenced, hear me. Silence isn't surrender. It's strategy. Until the day you speak, and change everything. Now I want to hear from you. Speech balloon, what would you do if your own family tried to erase you? Speech balloon, have you ever had to reclaim something that was stolen from you? Speech balloon, type E reborn if you're ready to write your own comeback story. Drop it in the comments. Because you're not alone. And remember, the quietest people often hold the loudest truths. Follow for part 2, what happened after they signed.